Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Thursday, January the 16th, 2025. And appreciate those who are with us in attendance, and we're still working on trying to get back with those that we're trying to watch. Anyway, we'll start out with a roll call. Let the record show that all the commissioners are present. Ask everyone to please stand for brief invocation to pledge. You would bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Anything we accomplish will give you the honor and glory. In Christ's name we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Are there any announcements on the board? Any announcements?
Sir.
We move on to the approval of the minutes. First up, we have the minutes of the work session held on December 19, 2024. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Make a motion to approve this presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stiler, second by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion.
Okay.
Hearing none, please vote.
Yes.
And those are approved. 4-0. Next, I have the minutes of the voting session held on December 19, 2024. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion by Commissioner Stiler.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We'll move on to the approval of the agenda. I do have some changes to the agenda. They'll be under the consent agenda. Additions 3, 4, and 5. Capital improvements element amendment adoption. Board appointments for the Department of Family and Children's Service and the Planning Commission. And number 5 will be Board of Commissioners Vice Chair appointment with Chris Gaines as the recommendation. That entertain a motion to approve the agenda with those changes that will go under the consent agenda.
Make a motion that we approve the agenda as amended.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, second by Commissioner Stivers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And the agenda is approved with the changes. No one signed up for public comment in this section.
No, sir.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. The consent agenda consists of ratification of the 2025 Board of Commissioners meeting schedule, ratification of acceptance of the Georgia Opioid Crisis Abatement Trust grant application for treatment services. That's in the total of $25,900, and there's no county match associated with that. And number 3 will be the capital improvements element amendment adoption. Number 4, the board appointments for the Department of Family and Children's Services, and the board appointments for the Planning Commission, as we discussed earlier. And then the appointment of Vice Chair of Commissioner Gaines would be the other item on the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stiles, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion.
Good.
Hearing none, please vote. And the consent agenda is approved. 4-0. We'll move on to public hearings. I have 2 public hearings this evening. First one is amended development impact fee ordinance. This is the second of 2 hearings. I think we have a presentation prior to opening up with that here.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Tonight is the second of 2 required hearings required by the state with respect to making updates to the impact fee program. Specifically, the ordinance then pays special attention to the fee schedule and any amendments to the fee schedule. for the collection, or as far as setting rates for fees to be collected. The ordinance also, which has been in place since 2018, does have extensive text to help guide how the impact fee program is administered. Again, the provisions tie back to state law. But most importantly for a lot of folks, at the end of the ordinance is the actual fee schedule. And so we invite public comment on the draft ordinance inclusive of the fee schedule tonight. Tonight is also the earliest that the amended ordinance can be adopted. It doesn't have to be, but tonight is the soonest that could occur after the public hearing. As mentioned, the ordinance itself, there are some long-standing provisions that are there that help provide guidance to administering an impact fee program. We primarily have some minor modifications to provide greater clarity with respect to that text. And also just want to point out that there are detailed mechanisms that are outlined to, regardless of what the ultimate impact fee schedule looks like, there are mechanisms for reducing fees on a case-by-case basis. And those include credits. It's recognized that if there's a change in use, for example, if a building is occupied by one use and it's being renovated to serve another use, then credit is given for that existing use in calculating the impact fee. And so the impact fee that would be assessed for that new use may either be less, there would be credit applied, so the fee would be less than what would otherwise be assessed. And in some instances, no impact fee would be charged at all, depending on what the use is. There are credits for developer contributions in some form or fashion to help implement the capital projects that are in the adopted CIE. And there's also a fee certification process that the state law provides for, which allows developers or other applicants to come in and seek application. There just would be a simple application to request that the current fee schedule be frozen for a period of up to 6 months before the new fee schedule takes effect. And so someone can come in and benefit at the lower fees as long as they pay that fee within the 6 months of that time period that's allowed. At the end of the ordinance is the prospective fee schedule itself. We discussed through this process that there's a maximum that can be charged. That maximum is calculated as the ceiling. That's the most that could be charged of new development. There are bigger proportionate share that to be paid towards capital projects needed to serve future growth and development. So there's a ceiling that's been established, and the board can adopt up to that ceiling or less. With the fee schedules and associated recommended effective date for that of April 1st. So the draft fee schedule in the draft ordinance has been carried forward from the previous meeting in December, and it shows a reduction from the maximum fee that was established as part of this process. So this slide shows the current fee that's being charged, which is also less than the maximum established when the impact fee update was done several years ago. You're looking at a ceiling now of just under $7,000, but the proposed fee was yielding in this instance for a detached single-family home about $5,500 even per house. Now, based on discussion at the last meeting, received feedback that there was interest in looking at not reducing the fire protection fee to as great an extent as was in the draft fee schedule. That was the one category that was reduced to bring the fee down from the ceiling of $6,800 to $5,500. Reduction in the fire protection fee would reduce fees for all uses across the board, because that applies to residential and non-residential. And so because of the significant capital needs for fire protection buildings and fire stations to serve future growth and fire apparatus, then we have some alternatives that don't take as much from fire or don't reduce the fire fee and all of the uses associated with that to as great of an extent, but shave a little bit off of the library category so that there's more coming in to pay for needs related to fire protection. So that results in 4 scenarios for contemplation. 2 of them stick at the $5,500 fee for a dwelling, and then the other 2 make some changes and offer scenarios relative to reductions in library and fire, where there's more coming in for fire, and that results in also increasing the fee to $5,800. So the first line is the maximum fee, so that's the scenario 1 at the top. The second is the fee schedule. Those are the sums that relate to the draft schedule and the ordinance as it stands. And then scenarios 3, 4, 5, and 6, again, are in response to feedback received at the last meeting, just to show different ways that we can calculate fees to arrive at different numbers for consideration. So after the, what we indicated here, that the CIE, as indicated, it was sort of the first part of the overall process to update the impact fee program. So that's been done, that updates the projects. And tonight then we do have to have the public hearing, and then of course can have discussion and consideration about what the board would like to choose in terms of a fee schedule for final decision, or at least discussion tonight, so we have something that can be incorporated into the ultimate updated ordinance. So that's my presentation, just to introduce the public hearing.
Questions for Ms. Hadley?
Can you go back and dive a little bit deeper on what that, what your second page, the lock-in period for 180 days, and tell me what that looks like? So, say we move forward today, I understand that we want to give citizens and business owners a time for adjusting to the fee changes. But that does not mean that we may have a developer that's going to come in and buy 300 permits and sit on those until 2 years from now, correct?
Correct. That's a great question. So there's really 2 scenarios. Someone can come in up until the day before April 1st when the new fee schedule comes in, or it takes effect, if that's what's the date that's approved. They can come in and say, I'd like to freeze the schedule period. So you just say, okay, you're locking this in, and then they can come in with 180 days and pull permits from whenever, and then that fee would have to be honored. Or if they actually are moving along in the process and there are, they know what their project is, they can say, if I were to come in if I were to come in today and pull permits, and I've got 50 homes, what would the fee be? And then that can be locked in for a specific project. And then as long as they come in within 6 months of when their application is signed off on, then they would pay that fee specific to their project. If they say, well, I've doubled, I'm going to add, or I'm just going to add a few more lots, well, then those additional lots would have to pay the new fee, whatever they come in for specific to that project.
Can we set a maximum on lots?
No. I mean, the only guidance we have, well, I would say no, because the only guidance is that that we have from the state relates to the fee schedule itself or on a project basis. And so it really is the ordinance as it's crafted gets a little bit of discretion as far as the extent of changes that can be made. Really, the idea is that if someone comes in and says, I'm going to do 50 houses, then that's what's locked in and it's good for.
So they have to, so let's just walk through that scenario. So it's effective April 1st. They come in and there's some developments that already were approved years ago that still are coming in pulling building permits. So let's say they had 50 building permits, for your example. My understanding is they would ask to lock it in, and as long as they come back within 6 months to buy those permits, those building permits, and then they have a year to complete that construction on a residential house. So they technically have a year and a half timeline. But they have to, or do they already have to have the project identified? It already has to be existing, or is this something that, like, if somebody's coming for rezoning in a month, or 2 months, or 3 months, or just came for rezoning, project's not there yet, but then can they lock something in?
And so that's where they would just log in the fee schedule itself, the current 2-page fee schedule, and would just say, okay, I'm certifying that this fee schedule in its current form for all uses, regardless of what the use is or number of units, it's freezing the fee schedule in its totality for 6 months. So then they can come in and pull permits for whatever scenario, as long as it's within that 6-month period.
But only the permits. So if it was for 50 homes and they only pulled, or I don't know how that works, but let's just say it's 50 and they pulled 30 in that 6 months, the additional 20, if they decide to pull it later, will be at the new fees.
It's too late. It's too late. Correct. But again, it depends. You know, if someone were to come in tomorrow, then the 6-month clock would start at that point. That's why I say there may be folks who, you know, are like wait a little bit until they're closer to the point of the fee schedule actually taking effect, and then they have the greater time period to benefit from the new fees coming on board.
But we have no control over how long we set.
The 6 months is what is binding.
So we have, from the time we voted in, we can say what the effective date is up to 180 days. Is that correct?
Did you say what the effective date is at the fee schedule?
Then I think what she's saying is after April 1st, they can't come in, period.
Correct.
They have to come in before April 1st. That's the day you set. So if you decided after we had this hearing that you wanted to set that date for March the 1st for the effective new schedule,
Yes.
They only have till that
they
time.
would only have to that time to lock that in.
Yeah.
Correct.
Is there like an earliest date? You know, like if it's approved tonight, and we set a date tonight, is there like,
They're recommended April 1st.
why?
But that was what is
Just to give people time to.
well, and to give staff time. There's this internal systems with a whole new fee schedule, and things would have to be completely swapped out and brought up to date to reflect that. So that's giving a little bit of breathing room on the administrative side rather than it taking effect then. But also, if someone comes in and seeks that, they also need to provide the approved certification. So then that needs to be brought back at the time that they would be paying the impact fee. So it's not just, well, you said that I could do this. There is a written record that would have to be abided by, and especially if someone comes back in, they have to prove that or have it as well as a copy that the county maintains.
But they have to already have an approved plan or an approved. No.
You know, if you stop until they get the deadline.
They can just log in the fee schedule. So that's the, you know, sort of the broadest interpretation that someone could say they just want to freeze the schedule itself.
Okay.
Other questions for what's happening? Thanks. Does the board want to discuss the potential fee schedule before we open the hearing or after? We've got some options. And I think staff had sent out some information in reference to that, and recommendation was going 2 options was alternative number 4 and alternative number 6.
Crystal, will you go back to that page, the 6 scenarios? Thanks.
So I'll start. I mean, looking at these and looking at, you know, percentages of increase and stuff like that, what my conclusion was, and just me speaking, was I was more of a fan of alternate number 4 for a couple of reasons. The fixed $500 fee for residential is just a tad above 2 times what we're collecting now for a residential unit. And I was more interested in the commercial portion of alternate number 4 because that keeps commercial at the 50% of the maximum or below, which is, I think it's important for us, in my opinion, to try to continue to gather as much commercial as possible. And we currently charge commercial 25. So looking at those two things, that's kind of a doubling of whether it's commercial or whether it's residential and those. And when I looked at 6, you were looking at raising the commercial. If we adopted 6, that would be like 61.5 to 62.5. And so that was my concern, and the reason I am in more support of alternate number 4. But I obviously, whatever the board decides they want to do, I will do it. All right. Any other discussion in reference to those before I open the hearing?
So the things that we've heard a lot about, I mean, I wish there was a different way to set these formulas up, but we are kind of handcuffed by what the state allows us to do. Dawson County's been very blessed with a lot of commercial growth that's happened organically, and I think that commercial growth continues to desire to be in Dawson County for multiple reasons. I agree with the chairman that we want lower barriers of entry for commercial growth because they do generate revenue long term that helps support other government functions over the long haul. With that said, the difference between 4 and 6 is predominantly with the reduction of the fire component. And I know, especially here recently, we've heard more needs out of the fire department. And I just quickly looked through and made some notes on what some of the funding requests were during for the next. And we keep in mind this takes us to 2050. I guarantee you between now and 2050 there's going to be another board sitting here. I hope that we'll make other changes on this thing or massage it as we continue to grow. So how you laugh?
Because if you were saying, you're like, I hope there's another board.
Yeah, I don't. But so, I mean, this is a long-term view, and some of the things that were on here, additional fire stations, engine replacements, hydrants, those are things that I think that we need to put in place and put funding behind. Commercial, where it does generate revenue, it also is one of the higher needs from a fire department. If you build a larger building, you got to have I used to think, and this when I was a Chad, when I first came on, I thought we needed the ladder trucks to go up vertically, but it's the horizontal to reach to the middle of the Walmart, in the middle of the Home Depot, in the middle of the Lowe's. And so there's the realization that the fire department has some very expensive needs when it comes to fire stations, and we have to have those throughout the county in order to keep our ISO rates down. We've done a good job of that, but we got to update some more of those over the next several years. And all the assets that we put money into does help us keep low fire insurance ratings and things like that. So I think it's important that we do put investment into that. And I agree, again, with Billy on the idea that it's the goal is to keep commercial down as low as possible. And even at 6, I mean, it's a substantial decrease in commercial compared to where the maximum fees could be. Your mom and pops are really where the main concern, I think, comes into play with what would charge for somebody that's opening a small family restaurant. And majority of those are not going to be building their own building. They're going to be setting up a rented space, and they're not fully impacted by the impact fees the way I understand it. So I am more in line with number 6 that gets us additional funding to go towards improving fire department needs.
I agree. I think, too, you have to look at the fact that from 4 to 6, emails on residential, you're only going up 300, but 300 on every residential home that comes in is a huge difference overall to fire. And it's going up, $3,000 is $4,000, almost $5,000 for family restaurant, machine shop, craft shop, stuff like that. So, I mean, I look at machine shop too, at a restaurant where there's kitchens and stuff like that can go wrong. Things can go wrong quickly, and fire would have to be called out I just think that those, it's not a huge difference, but it's enough of a difference that it adds up over individual buildings and residential coming in that it would make a large impact. For impact fees to come in, us to be able to do more with fire EMS for sure. And really like Park and Rec and all of it. I mean, Park and Rec stays the same. Like Chris said, the biggest thing that's affected there is fire and EMS. I think that it is where we're needing to improve right now.
And to piggyback on that, I mean, fire for the last, since November of 2023, I feel like has been in front of us time and time again, you know, for funding and personnel too. I understand that we can't use these impact fees for that, but funding for that, we've revisited the fire ordinance. You know, there's so much in the fire that has been a hurdle for us since for the last year and a half or so. And I feel like we need that extra funding for fire, both on the commercial and the residential side, to help fund some of these changes that are coming, the growth that's coming into this county, and quite frankly, for the people who are moving in here, the impact that they are having on this county and the fire.
I think too, we can't use impact fees for personnel, but if we have more impact fees to go towards all this other stuff, we can use general fund to go towards personnel if it allows some of that to free up.
The ultimate goal of impact fees is to put the additional cost of delivering services. It's like, take a snapshot today, and the people that come in after today, whenever we vote on it, they drive an increased cost of services, which is the whole formula behind the thing. And we're just trying to calculate what that increase is. And we're putting the burden on those that are coming in versus those that are here already. And I think it's the right thing to do.
I mean, it's the impact that we have on the community. Like this.
And if we don't change this, the need is still there. I mean, it doesn't go away just because you don't have impact fees. The need's still there. It's just a matter of how you pay for it. And I'm much rather lean on this, where the people that are coming in are paying for it, versus having to change or increase military, or those are other options. And I'd much rather put the burden on those like that. Shit.
Any other discussion before we open up to here? Okay. So at this time, I'll open up the hearing for the amended development impact fee ordinance. Anyone here wishing to speak on the amended development impact fee ordinance? Anyone?
Here.
Anyone? Right. Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. This is the second of two hearings. So you do have the option, because the board so desires, to establish that fee.
I mean, wait. Yeah. Let's that out. Yeah. Do you right? I'll tell you. What will you specialize?
So you have the option to establish that fee if you so desire.
Well,
So
Chris.
yeah, I'd just like to have some conversation on the start date of this thing. I think we have the idea of April 1st was thrown out there, but is it possible, due to the enlightenment that I've received tonight on 180 days, I just don't want to be taken advantage of by a developer comes in and locks down a bunch of residential building permits.
I mean, realistically, we could ask our own staff if March 1st is feasible.
Yeah.
I don't know, Keith, I see you laughing.
So hold up. We don't want to rush them for sure. Now make sure they have done.
I'm of the opinion that March 1st would be staff to get it done by March 1st. I wouldn't try any sooner than that. Just because of the way that we get it configured up in our system, we're not going and reconfigure all the impact fees as far as our permitting system.
Is that a digital thing? We just change it in percentages or something?
It is, but we have to, the way it's configured in our system, you take into consideration the use of the building. That's how you figure your impact fees off of it. So it just doesn't matter if the one end, and I think we can get that done. I think it'll be this year. I'm not saying being you, I don't want to see somebody come in and try to lock in a bunch of permits. There's
That's also a law on staff, right? I mean, well, that's locking in, but I guess that wouldn't matter.
that we don't, we get,
Do we advertise change in impact fees? Well, I think they have legally.
We just did them.
Well, that's what we with the public. Yeah, but like we don't have to do anything beyond this. Okay.
Chad, you Chad, that's
That's what I was going to ask. Is there any legal where we have to put a certain amount of days to let them know before that can happen?
I don't think so. Is there a minimum notice? No, as a practical matter, sometimes people will put a sign up in the planning department to say, hey, this is going to take effect. And there's just, and I'll make sure if you all don't already have it, it's just very simple boilerplate, one sheet, hey, here's your certification form. And so that can be, it's up to the community how, to what extent they want to have outreach. But there's no, the minimum is typically saying, posting something in the department's ebooks or.
We've been pushing this, having these meetings, hearings and stuff.
And we have I'm sorry, Millie. I thought you were done. We have proper like protocol or procedure or policy or whatever in office to make sure that, and these people do come in and lock it in before, let's say March 1st, that they get a certificate we keep or whatever it is that locks it in. We also keep one so that when they come back, it's kind of it's on file, it's easy. I don't want to lose track of that. We already have something in place to manage that.
we do not, we haven't had anybody, as long as,
That's still here that
Yeah.
has done it before.
as long as I've been here, I've never had anybody come in and,
As long as it's
Okay.
2019.
we've only changed.
Is that duplicates?
one time in the last 8 years. Billy,
That's definitely something we could move in place.
I just don't want to mess up on that. I feel like that's could potentially get us into a situation where if they're coming in and we're setting a hard date of March 1st and now they're trying to lock in this old fee, and making sure that the new ones are, that it just all lines up as it should once this is voted on. I just want to make sure that we get that set correctly.
We definitely get a process in place.
Okay.
just a point of note from the commercial side, I was just thinking of what Kevin said back there. One thing that's changed a lot since the last time we looked at places, the Development Authority previously did not have a path for validating the return on investment for a company that was in place. And since then, the Development Authority's worked hard on a path. And you alluded to this on one of your first pages there. There is a function for an element for a commercial to apply through Development Authority to get reduction in fees if there's a change in return on investment point.
Yes, sir. The exemption process.
Yep.
Right. That it can be considered a partial fee.
Right. So March 1st is kind of, you think it's...
Well, let me ask, I want to give that question to our county manager. Joe, you have any reservations about that? I know Keith has said he thinks they can get it done. I mean, knowing the workload. What's your thought?
I think we can do that on March 1st. Yes, sir.
Okay, so we'll make sure you're on board. You're going to have to make sure it gets done.
Yes, sir.
I figured he was, but obviously then we agree.
And just to clarify, I mean, great observation. If someone comes in on February the 28th and asks for lock in for 180 days for say 50 lots, they got 180 days to purchase permit
For 50 lots.
for 2 lots, and they do that. Then you got 12 lots to get those houses built, or your permit expires and you don't qualify for the old rates. So that's there's only there's certainly some potential for that, but I built so many so fast. But I agree it's schedule, but I don't know if this is a big of a thing. But hopefully it's not big.
Set.
Yeah.
So, what is the pleasure of the board?
Yeah, right. Sure. Go.
I'm not really sure how to make this motion, to be honest with you. Let's scream back here.
Say one with the options.
Ms. Davis, you have a comment?
Well, no, I was just going to say you would be moving to approve the impact fee ordinance amendment, including the alternate number of cities, alternate number, whatever it's correct. Yeah.
I think we can put that slide up there, just for full clarity. Don't you have number 6 there on one?
Is it on this one?
You just had it.
There's another one that shows that its entirety. There we go.
Just for clarity,
full transparency, that's it. That's number 6. Yeah,
Okay.
a little hard to read, but that's it, and that's what the board would be voting on.
Okay, so I make a motion to amend the impact fee ordinance or to replace it with alternate number 6.
Alex, anything else?
Page, I'll go to the expert here.
I
Page.
think just adopting the amended ordinance, so that covers the text.
Okay.
With alternate number 6 fee schedule. And I think the correct, adopting the amended ordinance as
I'm glad you guys
presented
are-
with alternate number 6 fee schedule to take effect March 1st, 2025.
What she
Along
said
those
is
lines.
I don't know, but it's
her.
that's
It's on the record.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Stalbers. Discussion.
Final question about how we can change this, like in a year, if we come back and see that there's challenges that's unforeseen today, we can change this through another process like we're going to do today.
Certainly. I mean, you can, you don't have to go through the big process that
right.
we did,
But
but
the-
you got your ceiling established.
Right.
And so you can continue to go up where you can go down, and you can adjust just any change that you make percentage-wise, as we've been doing, to one
Yeah.
category to do for all land uses. So, then just after 2 hearings.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Other discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Kristen and Margaret are, yes, separate.
And that is approved. 4-0. Move on to our second hearing, which is the tax amendment to amend the language of Chapter 129 of the sign ordinance. This is the second of 2 hearings. The first hearing was held on December 19, 2024. Basically, there were some changes to the law, and this update to the sign ordinance incorporates those changes that were associated with that. So is there any other information needed before I open the hearing? Right. At this time, I'll open the hearing. Is anyone here to speak to the text amendment to amend the language of Chapter 129 of the sign ordinance? Anyone?
Shit.
Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close that hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
I'll make a motion to approve the text amendment to amend the language of Chapter 129 of the sign ordinance.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Stalwart. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Yep.
And that is approved 4-0. We'll move on now to new business. First, we have consideration of RFP 458-24 construction services for jail voting and lobby of law enforcement center. You heard that a few weeks ago. Low bid was to Smith and Build Construction, $688,000, paid for through Splash 7 and jail funds. Any other information needed? Motion?
Make a motion that we accept the proposals, receive and award a contract with Smith Construction in the amount of $688,000, utilizing SLOSS 7 and jail funds.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, second by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of proposed 2025 local maintenance improvement grant application for Shoal Creek Road and request for Georgia Department of Transportation funding. As you are aware, the proposal was to use all of the LVIC funding that we were going to get this year on Shoal Creek Road. And I think the total cost for that project was $1 million and some dollars, and the remainder would come from Splash 7. But We're basically voting here, I guess, on the, well, you can do both, the local maintenance improvement grant, the LB, making that request to the state for those funds to be just on Shoal Creek Road. Any other information needed? Motions?
Make a motion that we approve the LB 2025 grant application for full depth reclamation of Shoal Creek Road, and request GDOT funding.
Second.
Joey, do we need to go ahead and approve where the remaining funding's going to come from? So that we can move on with the project when the time
I
comes?
believe Robert has next month bringing the,
Okay.
the memorandum agreement with the city.
Okay.
We'll do all.
All right, so we'll stick with the LB. So, motion by Commissioner Sauer, you second. Commissioner Bruce with the second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, please vote.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration of board appointments, construction board of adjustment and appeals, Greg Brock, reappointment term January 2025 through December 27. Roy Cunningham, reappointment term January 25 through December 27. Chris Meade, reappointment term January 2025 through December 2027. We'll take that one first. Any other information needed on the construction board of adjustment and appeals? Motions.
Make a motion that we approve these board appointments for the construction board of adjustment and appeals.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stower, second by Commissioner Gaines. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And those gentlemen are approved 4-0. Next up, we have the Tax Assessor Board, Tom Kent, reappointment term January 2025 through December 2027. Any other information needed?
There was, I think, at some point some questions about the training and Leo. Did y'all get involved? Was the training up to
Yeah, there are some issues that we're looking into across the board with training for the Board of Tax Assessors, and so that's information we're still gathering, and so I would recommend that we might postpone this tonight and let us provide that so we can answer that more directly for you.
Okay, thank you. That,
We're up to
I make a motion that we table the appointment for the tax assessor until next week.
So,
motion to table by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
Commissioner Bruce. Chuck, sit his eyes on. Yes.
That,
Come to it. Yes, ma'am.
just true.
And that is taken 4-0. No one's signed up for public comment in this particular session.
no, sir.
All right, we do have a need for executive session to discuss personnel. I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stower, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote.
It's going now.
You'll need us for it again, but
Go on. I didn't
get it.
hold on.
Is that in 4-0? We'll take a 5-minute break and we'll meet in the back for executive session. Thank you for your attendance. No vote coming out.